Hey guys, so today I want to talk about the four things that moved the stock market today and why they moved the stock market in which direction and how they did it because today was one of the most up and down days that I've ever seen in my trading career. And honestly, it's not good for the future of the stock market for us to have many days like this where we might rip up, then rip down, then come back up. Because, especially for options trading, it is vital that the stock market is moving in one single direction and that you as a trader are able to see the plays that are happening and building into the future. Now, one of the main reasons that we actually opened up so high, you can see that we gained like 500 points today, was actually because the job numbers or the retail sales numbers, sorry, actually came out. They were leaked before time. And essentially, they showed a record bounce in the number of retail sales that were coming back. You can see that Dow futures soared higher, almost 800 points after a record retail sales jump. And honestly, this was one of the main reasons that the stock market was having an upwards direction today, and especially after open. However, you can see that immediately after open, stocks started to kind of sell off, and even though they did have this small bounce, they immediately came down very, very hard. And that was as a result of the Powell meeting. So Powell is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and essentially he decides what the monetary policy will be for the United States in the years, months, and weeks to come. And in the last week, we actually saw him speak on Thursday, or sorry, it may have been Friday of last week, and he honestly dropped a bomb on the stock market when he said that he wasn't going to keep reducing interest rates less than zero. And additionally, when he said that he expected the stock market to recover or the economy as a whole to recover, however, nowhere near to where we were in January of 2020, only 3 months ago. And after he said this, and I explained this in another video, a lot of people realized that he was very shaky when he was talking. He wasn't very sure of what was actually going to happen. And every time that he says, oh, these are only estimates, well, can't be 100% sure, I can't corroborate those dates, then that essentially puts doubt on the stock market's recovery and on the economy's recovery as a whole. And that's not good for traders who are trading on this positive motion and who potentially don't want to lose money in the days to come or in the years to come here. They'd rather wait for the crisis to pass, to see a vaccine, to see incredible job numbers, to continue pushing the economy up because of the fact that he sounded so shaky on what he said. Now, today was basically a repetition of this. He sounded very shaky on what he said. And additionally, the meeting of the Fed was very, very political. There was a lot of talk of African Americans and how racial injustice factors into what's happening here in the stock market and into the economy. They explained that a lot of states have a largely African American workforce in their government and in their governmental institutions. And as a result, if states are forced to contract in their size and in their government size, then a lot of African Americans would be disproportionately affected. Now, I don't stand on one side or the other with this protesting, and I like to keep it very, very non political and very focused on the economy. However, I would say that because this meeting was so political, a lot of people took it the wrong way because there was one person there at the meeting. He was, I think, the senator of Ohio, and he was really pushing this point that we need to have surveys and we need to have things in place to kind of protect against this job discrimination, even though we already do have a lot of things in place to protect against this. However, he kept drilling the point, and it made Powell sound even more uncomfortable about the future of the stock market than he should have sounded. So you can see that the market sold off all the way from around 315 to 308 at the bottom. Like, you can't see it here on Robinhood like I always tell you guys. However, this was a huge sell-off. In only 15 minutes, we had wiped away the full gains of the day, and we were all the way back to Monday's levels. Now, what this meant was that a lot of people had to basically decide, okay, are we coming down more, or is this a moment to bounce in the stock market? And that kind of happened because we saw a third thing happening today in the stock market, which was that Trump signed an executive order basically saying that police had to reform themselves and focus on mental issues, etc., etc. Like I said again, guys, I don't stand on one side or the other. I just want to focus on how I can make money with this event and make money you could have because it really moved the stock market. This news was very positive, especially after what we saw in Powell's meeting and the fact that this one guy, the senator from Ohio, was very much pushing this fact, basically basically put a lot of validity and a lot of positive movement on the stock market after Trump announced that he was going to be moving in the positive direction with this police reform and helping out communities that really need it. So yeah, essentially the stock market bounced all the way to around 314, so really nowhere near open. That's about 200 points down from open. And then basically the stock market continued trending throughout the day. However, you do see that we have a second drop here from 313 all the way to around 310. And this uncertainty was actually caused by the fact that in China, in Beijing, their biggest city, they actually had to declare a second lockdown phase. Now, a lot of you may know that China is a very, very communist country, and as a result, the government really wants to control the way the news happens, the way the events are spun, etc., etc. So they'd rather close down a whole city than essentially let the virus just play out its part and see what could happen into the future, because that could reflect badly on their administration. So I think personally that they rushed into a lockdown. However, it's anybody's game to see what happened there, because as you can see, a lot of people took this very negatively and took it as a sign that there might be a second wave of the coronavirus and of infectious disease here, especially in China, especially in the United States. With airports reopening, they might try to send people out again to continue this contagion in the rest of the world. Now you can see that the market sold off around 500 points, or sorry, 400 points as a result of this, and then shortly bounced up after, because like I said, people realize that China is a very different situation than what we have happening here in the US. However, in the US, we also had states like Florida, Texas, and Arizona come out since Monday and basically announce that they are having record numbers of new cases. And in Arizona specifically, because I actually go to school in Arizona, they actually explained that their contagion level was 3 times higher than New York. So basically, there you had a 3 times higher chance of getting infected in cities and large population centers than in New York, and that cases were up over 300% in the last week. So these are not the numbers that the stock market wants to see, because this actually pushes the fact that we might have a second lockdown. Although I think we are very, very far away from this, I feel that we might be inching closer, and so does everybody else trading these stocks and trading in the stock market in general. So keep a close eye out for these events, guys, because every little event plays its part in bringing the stock market higher, higher, or lower and lower. And even if it's a small event, it can still have a large change on the stock market. You can see that the conglomeration of things that happened today did not allow the stock market to continue pushing up higher and continue this trend, and instead it was cut off and continued downwards and continued just trading sideways for the day. Now, coming into tomorrow, I do think that the stock market might sell off a little bit more because of the fact that Powell explained that even though the numbers were good and futures were good, that we should not think that the stock market or the economy is recovered at all, because it really isn't, and that it's going to take till at least the end of 2022 to see anything that even resembles what we had before. So this is not what the stock market wants to see, and with elections coming up, all these events are becoming even more and more important, and they're moving the stock market more and more on a daily basis. So yeah, guys, just keep a close eye out for these events. I would honestly say don't trade until after these events. Now, a big mistake I made here today was I bought some contracts right here at the 315 level, and I literally had to just hold my tongue, bite my tongue, while the contracts were losing and losing value. They weren't specifically on the SPY, but since the SPY decides the market value as a whole, I really took a big loss today, guys. And afterwards, they did recover a little with this recovery. However, it wasn't what I wanted and it wasn't what I expected. And if I would have bought them down here, I would have made potentially more money. I wouldn't have lost anything at all. And right now, I'm just trying to think how I can cover my losses. So, yeah, guys, if you're going to trade these moves, you never know how the stock market is really going to react to a news piece. They might think it's positive, they might think it's negative, they might think it's positive, but not positive enough and still sell off. So just always trade after the news. Even if you think you're going to miss a run up, you think you're going to miss a very powerful play, it's better you miss 10 plays that are bad than sorry, it's better even one good play than 10 bad plays. So that's all I got to say for today, guys. It's a very, very confused market. Doesn't know if it want to go up or down. So just keep a close eye out here for what's going to happen in the next few days to come. And with this news of the police, of China, of the cases coming back up, yeah, so just keep a close eye out on what happens here, guys. And anything could really happen here in the short run. So try to focus on long run positions and getting yourself some good plays here in the next months to come. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe the video and keep a close eye out for those plays.